What's going on? It's your boy Sheev the Wise. Welcome back to Vader's Lair. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week so far. Let's get it going because it's time for Andor episode 11 coming out later tonight. We're going to be doing a preview here. Let's get it going. Make sure to be at our watch party at 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's begin with our Andor episode 11 preview. Do it. Welcome back into the lair, guys. I hope you're having a good day. Let's get this thing rolling because there's kind of a lot going on with these last two episodes of Andor, starting with this kind of two-part finale that we're getting tonight, and I am so excited for it. I'm hyped, man. You guys know how she gets when new Star Wars drops, but tonight, man, I'm extra excited because I don't really know what to expect. I mean, there's been so much built up for these kind of last two episodes, and I think there's a lot being built up even for season 2 that we don't even really realize is going to be a bigger plot thread down the line. Or at least we're starting to get the idea that maybe it is, but we maybe don't even know what the true extent of it could be. Good to see everyone in the chat, by the way. Shout out to you guys, Darth Maximus, Shanks, Reefer Man, everybody in the chat. I hope you're doing well. Flying Frisch, good to see you too. What have you guys been thinking of this season so far? How you feel about Andor season 1, and what do you think is going to happen in these last two episodes? Let me know as we get going here. Flying Frisch, I hope I said that right, says, I just felt like asking, why are you called Sheev? I'm called Sheev because Sheev is the name of Palpatine, the Emperor. That is his first name, actually, but he spells it with 2 E's. I was making music at one point and was trying to figure out like a name for my musical persona. And I landed upon Sheev the Wise, and that's just kind of how I went with it. And I spelled it with an I. And it felt more appropriate for the Star Wars YouTube channel I created. So that's why I'm called Sheev. But yeah, welcome to the dark side. I also really do, I think I do the Palpatine impression pretty decent. So that's another reason, you know what I mean? Just good. Good to see you guys in the chat, though. Let's get talking about Andor episode 11. So there's been a lot set up like I was talking about, but the first thing I want to focus on is Narkina 5, the prison planet that Andor has been stuck on. Last episode we saw Andor and Melshi escape the prison, and they were running off together with patrol ships basically looking for them after the prison break. We don't really know what happened to Kino. I'm gonna cross my fingers that he's alive. Let me know what you guys think in the chat if Kino survived. The dude couldn't swim, so maybe he stayed behind. The fact that he kind of announced to the entire prison that, you know, now's our time to escape. I feel like he might be the dude that gets punished the most for it, but I don't know. Let's find out. Hopefully he's alive. I will say Tony Gilroy, the, basically showrunner, said that he kind of wondered why fans thought he was dead, though, and in his headcanon, I think Kino might still be alive. So I'm holding out hope that we get to at least see him. Maybe we see him in season 2, but I really hope that Kino is alive. Let me know what you guys think down in the chat. Let's continue, though. So Andor and Melshi are on Narkina 5, and I'm kind of wondering if we might end up spending most of this episode, or at least a portion of this episode, with them trying to get off the planet. They might have to do kind of a mission on their own where they have to steal a ship from a nearby base or something else on Narkina 5. Maybe it doesn't even show it how they end up getting off, but I think we're going to follow Andor getting off, and he's going to try to get off Narkina 5, and when he does, he's going to go directly back home to Ferrix. Probably not going to be a smart move because I think there's a whole trap waiting for him. I'm sure Deidre and Cyril Karn, you know what I mean? I'm sure the two of them are probably going to be waiting there. I'm wondering, obviously Deidre's going to be there with Bix and everything, after she, was torturing and interrogating her in the last couple of episodes. But I think that we might see her there still. And, Cyril Karn being so obsessed with it, I wouldn't doubt if he ends up showing up as everything's kind of popping off. It's pretty wild, though. I think based on what's kind of been set up in the last few episodes, in that scene where Bix is interrogated, they talk about Salman Pak. And Salman Pak was the dude kind of helping out in the beginning, I believe. And they basically say that they're going to hang him kind of to show what the Empire is about. That we've already seen Andor's father, even when he was younger, was hung as kind of a show of the Empire in the early days. And so now I think that's going to be kind of paralleled again with Salman Pak. And there's even in trailers images and videos of his son starting kind of an uprising along with the rest of the people of Ferric. So I think that's going to start to pop off in this episode. Of course, we did have Mama Marva Andor. Unfortunately, it seems like she's probably not going to make it out of this episode, or maybe at least the finale, as last episode it was kind of teased that she's fallen ill and she's not doing too good. Also, I think Deidre was saying that as like a last resort, she's willing to punish, or not punish, but torture Marva. Like, that'd be wild, Marva's already kind of not doing so good. Hashtag Kino lives. I'm with you, Reefer Man. I'm with you. Were you a YouTube rapper, says Reefer Man? No, I was on SoundCloud. Hey, Star Wars MCU OG. It is amazing to see you in the chat, my friend. Much love to you. I will say, too, best musician that I know personally, and he's probably going to not like me for pushing him out there like this, but the GOAT Tim himself, if you guys have seen him, are my favorite dude in the chat. That dude makes some great beats, just like the one you're listening to right now in the live stream. So shout out to Tim. That dude's even made some, I've used a beat or two before of his to kind of mess around with. He makes some really fire beats. Alright, I'll get back into the chat though. Flying Frisch says, it's funny I get called out for having a good Palpatine laugh. I don't think that was my best one, but good to see you, Stanleys. Hope you're doing well. He says Kino has probably been rearrested or killed to hide the prison breakout. Probably. I imagine they want all the workers that they can get after the escape, so they'll probably keep him. Plus, he's good at organizing everybody. But yeah, there's always a risk that he's going to break out and cause more issues again if he hasn't already, kind of thing. Steve Storenko, what up? Oh, you're telling me, Reefer Man. Michael, welcome into the chat. I hope you're doing well. Alright, let's continue on with my notes here. So, talking about the Ferrix uprising, it's likely that Marva is probably going to die. Let's talk about Luthen for a little bit here, because I think we're going to see some interesting stuff with him. I think likely he's going to go back and see Saw Gerrera again and kind of warn him about what's going on with Krieger, Antov Krieger, I believe is his name, because the Empire, his ISB kind of mole was like warning him about, what's going down with Krieger, and that the Empire's onto it, the ISB's catching on. I think we're gonna have a scene where the two of, Luthen and Saw kind of meet up again, and Saw goes to get him, kind of brings him more equipment or whatever, and they have a discussion that's going to show the scene that we see in the trailers of Saw talking about, let's call it war. You know what I mean? Not my best Saw impression. But I think we're going to have that, where he's going to be talking about, let's call it war. We also haven't seen the scenes with Luthen's lightsaber ship that we see in some of the trailers early on. That stuff, I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be in the finale. Maybe tonight. It would be really cool to see it tonight, but I don't think it's going to be quite yet. And what are you guys thinking about that, though? What do you think is going to happen with Luthen Rael in this episode? I really thought that his character had a crazy little part in last episode with talking about how much he sacrificed. It was a pretty epic moment. Caleb Richardson, good to see you in the chat. He says, lol, I'm getting hyped for Andor on cable. Meanwhile, my girlfriend is freaked out about Magic Mike 3 trailer. I feel you, my man. That's why you got to get her into Star Wars. Show her Grogu, just like the Trojan horse, my man. It works. It works. But yes, so I wanted to get into the news in a little bit here, and there is actually quite a lot to talk about in the latest Star Wars news. So I'm going to pull up this article from the Direct, and let's just get straight into it and kind of talk about it, because yes, Andor is indeed coming to cable. It is coming to multiple things, including Hulu, I believe, as well, which is already kind of a partner of Disney Plus, as there's like packages and everything that include both of them. But let me pull up this article here on Disney announcing historical cable TV release. So let's see if it lets me move it. Come on. Okay. Here we go. So Disney announces historical cable TV release for new Star Wars show. A lot of people were trying to spin this as if it's a bad thing, and I just gotta say, I think this is a great thing. All right, hold up. I shrunk it a little bit too much there. Boom. All right, so let's get into it. So the Direct says select episodes of Andor will be shown on cable television channels for Thanksgiving and ahead of the show's season finale. So the way this is going to work is that the first 2 episodes of Andor are going to end up airing on multiple platforms, including ABC and Hulu for Thanksgiving. I think that's pretty great. It's going to be ABC, FX, Freeform, and Hulu all on like different nights. Let's get into the article and kind of break down the details, though, so you guys can get a better idea of what's going on here. It says, while Andor on Disney Plus is both a prequel and a spin-off to Rogue One, a Star Wars story, the series led by Cassian Andor's Diego Luna has been a Star Wars project like none other. In addition to the unique formulaic structure, lightsabers and Skywalkers have been noticeably absent from this show, and in their place, Star Wars' most mature, complex, and intelligent content to date. Well spoken from the Direct here. I'm definitely with it. They say, despite being a critic's darling, Andor has struggled in terms of viewership, but that all could change when the Star Wars series breaks the mold once more in a historic release beyond that of Disney Plus. I will say too, I don't think the viewership is as bad as people think. I actually have a theory here. Hear me out. That Andor is doing way better than they expected. And that's why they're like, dude, let's put this on TV so that people can see kind of a little bit of what it's about and bring more people onto Disney Plus. I don't think this is about Andor having low viewership. I think it's about it having such high viewership compared to what was expected, that they're like, dude, we can get more people in on our Disney Plus thing and get more views from this kind of thing. And plus, other television places are buying this, or like, you know, airing this for Disney. Like, you know, it's, I don't know if Disney's really purchasing it kind of thing. Like, this is getting views for other television channels. So let's get into it though, as it says Andor episodes airing on ABC and Hulu for Thanksgiving. According to the new press release from Disney, the first 2 episodes of Andor are set to air on ABC, FX, Freeform, and Hulu for the Thanksgiving holiday. Part of the release coincides with the release of the show's season finale, premiering on Wednesday, November 23rd on Disney Plus. So along with the finale, they're going to be airing these, getting more people to check out the show now that it's going to be concluded. It says, this move is historic in several ways. Not only is this the first Disney Plus original to have aired on cable and TV, but Andor's 2-episode release on Hulu marks the first time a Disney Plus original has been offered on another streaming service within the US. That's something to say. I mean, obviously they don't want to do that with things like Mandalorian, that's going to like solely bring things on, but I feel like this is more a good thing than a bad thing. Disney's announcement also makes Andor the first Disney Plus series to have received a multi-platform release across Disney-owned channels such as ABC and Freeform. And here's kind of the full little slate and schedule it's going to be. So ABC is going to be on November 23rd at 9 p.m. FX is going to be November 24th, so the next night at 9 p.m. And then Freeform the next night at 9 p.m. as well. and it's going to be available from select dates through November 23rd to December 7th on Hulu as well. That's pretty cool to me. What do you guys think about all this, though? Let me know down in the chat. Flying Fish says, I saw Andor being around half what Mando and Kenobi were. At one point, I think it was that, and then it started to get to around Mando numbers from the last thing I saw, but that was a little bit ago, too. MCU OG says, I think a lot of people wait till the show runs so they can binge it. Yes, and I think this is kind of a good way to let people know, like, hey, there's one episode left. It's time to binge this sucker. You know what I mean? Steve says, I agree. I actually think that Andor is doing better than expected with non-Star Wars fans. May just be a test to see if they can leverage original content to pull viewers into Disney+. I think so as well. And that's the thing. Like, people are going to see this and they're hoping that they're going to be like, get a tease of it and be, I want more, you know? Caleb Richardson says, hot take, after Andor is over, they should just give ABC this syndication rights. Just imagine every summer they air Andor season 1 and 2 followed by a special presentation of Rogue One. That would be pretty dope. That would, I kind of like it, Caleb. I kind of like it. I still would want it to be aired on, you know, where you can view it on Disney Plus, but I like what I would like what you're putting down, my man. Shank says, excellent points, OG, talking about people waiting to binge it, and I agree as well. Alan, good to see you in the chat, by the way. Much love to you, my friend. Shank says, it's an excellent strategy to use other companies to get the word out. It definitely is a good strategy. Flying Fish says, I was gripped by the first couple episodes, but I'm wondering if the first 2 would even be enough for a non-Star Wars fan to care. Starting small isn't always not interesting, though. I definitely hear what you're saying, because I feel like you maybe even want to see that 3rd episode if you're going to watch, you know, kind of how they released the first 3 episodes all at once. So I agree in that aspect. I think they're hoping that first kind of scene with him kind of taking down the 2 Pre-Mor guards and everything, that kind of hooks people into kind of checking it out a little bit more. And hopefully it does, man. Hopefully it does. I think this could be really cool and a really good thing. So let's continue to see what else this article talks about. It says, plus the move marks the first time a Disney Plus original has enjoyed a re-release so close to the initial release of the premiere episodes. Why is Disney breaking the rules with Andor? At first glance, the decision to air Disney Plus original first 2 episodes on cable and Hulu isn't just jarring, it's odd. And I will say it is a little bit odd. Not only is there little to no precedent on episode 12 of Andor premieres on Disney Plus the same day as the first 2 episodes air on ABC and stream on Hulu. So it is probably a way to get people on. They said as if that isn't strange enough, those same 2 episodes air on cable in the days following episode 12's release. The reason for the decision and its unorthodox release schedule comes from what has been a mantra and battle cry in Andor, the need to climb. It's kind of funny the way they're spinning this. So again, while Diego Luna-led series has been a critical success and widely hailed by its audience, the show's numbers have paled in comparison to that of Tales of the Jedi and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, those are kind of special projects, but I know what you mean. I get what you're saying, the direct. Says much of this is likely due to the fact that it's not geared towards a broad audience. I mean, the thing you're kind of putting into perspective here is the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi's episodes are all out at this point. And a lot of people, like, that's probably the biggest Disney Plus draw in that you could think of. So many people were interested in Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's Obi-Wan goddamn Kenobi, you know what I mean? Tales of the Jedi, all 6 episodes released at once. And yes, while they're like, you know, 15-minute episodes or whatever, like, that's 6 episodes that people can put on the background and keep watching over and over. So people are talking about, oh, Andor's not doing as good. It's relative, though, from my perspective. I mean, I don't know, man. Kind of a reach. So it says much of this is likely due to the fact that it's not geared towards a broad audience. Disagree, but okay. It says while general audience probably haven't recognized it due to its lack of iconic Star Wars characters, Andor isn't for kids. That's kind of true, which is one of the franchise's key demographics. Instead, Andor is geared towards adults, and in some ways adults who aren't invested in the lore and probably don't have Disney Plus subscriptions. What better way to reach those adults by introducing them to the series via cable and Hulu when they're off of work and done with their Thanksgiving meals and shopping? I agree, and that's definitely kind of the idea here, and I'm excited for Andor to be airing on television and Hulu and all these different platforms to kind of get the word out there along with the release of the finale. I think it is a great strategy here. Are kids the key demo, says Steve Staranka? I don't think it is. I think it's mainly Star Wars fans, and then just Star Wars is such a strong brand. It's just, television watchers in general, I think. You know what I mean? Hey, Darth Chaos, it's good to see you in the chat. Caleb Richardson says, I think CBS Paramount Plus did this with Star Trek Discovery. They released the first 2 episodes on CBS and made the second episode available on Paramount Plus immediately after the first aired. That's kind of cool. That's kind of freaking cool. I'm down for them to do stuff like that in the future with Star Wars too. I think that is a great idea. Especially because like streaming platforms are obviously taking over. You know what I mean? But at the same time, there's so many people that still watch on cable television and Hulu and different other platforms as well. So Disney, this is a good idea to get people to check out Disney Plus if they haven't already, or if they haven't checked it out in a little while in terms of Star Wars in particular. Shank says, only thing Andor is missing is more of John Williams' iconic works. Well, we're going to get a lot less of those these days, and I gotta say, I really do like the Andor score that we've gotten so far. I think the composer's done a great job with it. I think it's been pretty damn good. The direct is not journalism indeed. They put out some good content though. I like reading from the direct. They're pretty consistent. Alright, let's get into the lair. Intoximo Andor episode 11. Do it. Computer's tripping out. Alright, here we go. Let us continue. So, where did I leave off with Andor episode 11 on my list? We talked a little bit about Luthen meeting up with Saw. The line, let's call it war, is probably going to be in the next 2 episodes, if not tonight. Do you guys think that we're going to see Luthen's lightsaber chip? Let me know in the chat. I already asked you guys if Kino's alive, but let's talk about Mon Mothma a little bit here. So Mon Mothma's setup has been kind of happening all season, it feels like, from the time we saw her in the second arc. I feel like the end of this season has to conclude her arc in a big way, and that's going to be probably one of the spins, I think. I don't know how her and Andor are going to meet, or if it even happens in these last 2 episodes. It might end up happening in season 2 or literally in the finale, but I think we're going to get closer and closer, and maybe even get some of the setup of Mon Mothma leaving the Senate. Because I think that's going to be a big thing that, that happens in Rebels. It's a big thing that happens with her kind of speaking out against the Empire, and I think something might happen to her family, or she's going to have a kind of divide with her family. Maybe she even thinks about marrying her daughter off to Davo's son, which would be pretty wild, man. That would be, whew. Mon Mothma, she's ruthless. Wild. Reeferman says Mon Mothma needs more to do. I do think there's some more to do with her though. I'm worried for Take Holma, because I think that dude's gonna get arrested, or something bad's gonna happen. Stanley says, isn't that Anton guy a separatist? Will we see the battle droids? I don't think we're going to get battle droids in Andor. That would be really cool, but it's been quite a while since the separatist army was kind of shut down, the droid army. So probably not. Most of them are decommissioned at this point. Caleb Richardson says, just imagine, it's in the series finale. Mon agrees to wed her daughter with that mob boss dude's son. Yeah, you're talking about Davo. Says then season 2 opens up with their wedding. Then you could have tons of cameos from Rebel bigwigs. There you go. I don't think so, but I mean, maybe. Maybe. You gotta do anything to fit in, right? Shanks says, I was thinking about when the Star Destroyer loomed over Aldhani. Missed opportunity to insert one of Williams' original scores. I feel like they're staying away from reusing his scores on like original stuff though, or like newer stuff. And to your point, maybe they should use more. But I don't know, man. I like what they've done. What up, Keaton Haas? I hope you're doing well, my friend. Welcome into the chat. Steve Starenka says, Mon Mommy is going to need a scapegoat, and Tay is going to be there for the pinning. You might be right about that one. I feel like Mon Mothma is kind of a savage. She might be a little bit of a savage. We could see Bail, Leia, etc. Maybe. At the wedding. Okay, I'm with you, Caleb. I get where you're going with it. I like that. Interesting. What else do we think is going to happen in these last 2 episodes, and particularly with this one, with the setup for the finale, kind of being a 2-part finale? I think we should spend some more time. In Narkina 5, do think that that's going to be a big point with Melshi and Andor in at least the beginning. I feel like there's no way they're not going to show us how he gets off. And Andor might know that there's a trap waiting for him on Ferrix. I'm kind of wondering if he'll go back to the planet that he left his money on when he got arrested and everything and try to find that money. And obviously it probably would be gone at this point, you would think, at least. But I don't know. Flying Fish says, I think that the show, it shouldn't be a Williams sound, but Kenobi, it should have. Kenobi, I feel like maybe should have used a little bit more. I don't dislike what they did with Kenobi either, but I agree maybe a little bit more of John Williams and Kenobi. At least maybe some of the reuse stuff would have hit really hard with those characters that we know and love. And having kind of the rematch of the Battle of the Heroes and everything, you know what I mean? Like just using some of that music, or I don't know, some variations of the prequel songs a little bit more than they did. I agree. But I still really like what they did with Kenobi as well. Flying Fish says, I think that for the show, it shouldn't be a Williams sound. Okay, I read that one. Good to see Keaton as always. Caleb Richardson says, everyone just dreading her marrying off her son, and we meant meeting the son. He ends up being the nicest dude, and he's nothing like his dad. That would be, I mean, maybe. I guess we'll see. I'm really excited for tonight's episode. I'm not exactly sure what to expect other than kind of the stuff we went over, but it should be a lot of friggin' fun to go through with you guys. So we are going to be doing a watch party later tonight on the channel. If you guys are interested, that's going to be at 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. It really helps us out, and smash the like button. And let's get into some of the latest in all things Star Wars. So here I have an article also from the Direct, and yes, I know, Jedi Mike, the Direct is I know what you were saying, but let me get into this article with you guys and talk it over just a little bit. Wait, I gotta change the window 1 second. So the latest, there has been quite a bit of Star Wars news, and like I said, the latest with Star Wars news lately has been Kathleen Kennedy teasing the High Republic's live-action Star Wars debut. I think this is kind of cool, man. I'm excited for it. So the president of Lucasfilm has teased the introduction of the High Republic era and upcoming live-action projects. For those who may not be aware, the High Republic is an era in the time of Star Wars, of the Star Wars universe, that's set roughly around 200 years before the Phantom Menace, or Episode 1 of Star Wars. The galaxy is at peace during that time, with the Jedi Order at the kind of the heights of its self-proclaimed peacekeepers. This time period has mainly been reserved for the publishing side of Lucasfilm, kind of having a whole bunch of books and different comics that have already been released. And they're kind of on the second phase of those books and comics and different things as we currently stand right now. But eventually the debut of these stories across other mediums has been teased, and thanks to a new art book, we kind of have a better idea of that kind of coming. So the High Republic's on-screen introduction. The Direct got our hands on the Art of Star Wars, The High Republic Volume 1, a new book coming out, and within it, the era's eventual depiction outside of publishing, namely into live-action content, was teased. Alongside that, some of their inspirations are alongside it as well. So it says, when it comes to transitioning off the page and onto a screen, the book teased that if the High Republic initiative was successful, it would open up new storytelling beyond the page, saying, if the gamble of the High Republic succeeded, the story anchoring the new interconnected multimedia initiative stood to open new storytelling opportunities beyond just the page, allowing publishing to evolve in an incubator for new characters and an era that could later appear in games or potentially on screen. A role reversal for the department typically tasked with sustaining interest between tempo projects and big screen movies that nevertheless honored the genesis of all stories in film, games, and television. So their kind of plan was if the High Republic succeeds on the book side of Star Wars, which is kind of a harder side to succeed on, that they would end up bringing it to other mediums and kind of interconnecting the story the best that they could. And I love that they kind of set up a new time period and kind of the height of the Jedi Order to do this, as the books kind of have been successful. I don't know if you guys know that, but they have been pretty successful. And for a lot of the people that have read it, there is kind of a big section of fans that have kind of a big fandom for the High Republic novels. So in reference to this era's potential on-screen future, Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy simply teased, "It all starts with the word." Michael Siglin, the president's Lucasfilm's publishing creative director, noted that he wanted to have their own corner of the galaxy to create new stories and add to the Star Wars mythos. So he wanted to kind of add his own flavor, like I was just talking about, how he wanted to start fresh from a new kind of era and different things, and I really like that they chose to do that. He revealed that one of the key questions that they asked themselves when crafting this new timeline was what inspires them, which is pretty cool. It says a key concept of that eventually landed on how the beautiful things about Star Wars is that it's not all explained. And yeah, a lot of times there is stuff that's open to interpretation or story further down the line that kind of continues the galaxy and continues the story and growth and just new ways for the fans to speculate too, you know what I mean? Another big focus point, according to Lucasfilm Story Group senior creative executive Pablo Hidalgo, was asking the question, what is the galaxy fighting for? Saying, what is the galaxy fighting for? When people say we want to restore the Republic, what is the ideal? High Republic author Justina Ireland noted that the world hasn't seen this Republic that everyone had already raved about. So let's get back in the layer and let's talk about this a little bit more with you guys, because I do think it's pretty interesting, the prospect of the High Republic coming into live action. So obviously we actually have a High Republic show already in the works, or at least one that's at the end of the High Republic, being the Acolyte. And the cool thing about the Acolyte too is that that's going to follow the kind of Sith or dark side of things during the final days of the High Republic. So we're going to see that golden age start to crumble and fall in the Acolyte, which I think is kind of a cool concept, especially because so much of the books already have shown kind of the beginning of that crumble itself. Jedi Mike says, High Republic comics, fire! Dude, I gotta read some more of them because the books are pretty good so far. This Smash that like. It takes less than a second. Thanks, Shanks. It really does. It takes less than a second. It helps out the channel a freaking ton. And if you're enjoying the content, it just lets me know, you know. It lets me know you're enjoying. Reeferman says, Jedi Mike, it is to me. Or does that character from the new run of the High Republic comics look like the guy from the Boys TV show? Haha. I guess I gotta read the comics because I love Anthony Starr. Yeah. I love freaking The Boys. That show is crazy. What do you guys think though? High Republic live action equals Acolyte, says Shanks. Indeed. Kylie says the Rebels DLC came out for Lego Star Wars site. What? My brain just broke because I'm excited for that. I want to check out the new DLC that came out for the Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga game. There's so many more characters since the last time we played, and we never even finished it. So I should go back and do that. Thank you for letting me know, Kylie. I really appreciate that. The son is probably a punk, Steve. We know. We know. Don says, I think there will be many surprises. There likely will be. There likely will be. I'm curious if you guys think that there's going to be any cameos in these last 2 episodes. There hasn't really been too many throughout the season. Obviously, we got Colonel Yularen. Saw Gerrera was kind of in it already. Mon Mothma being a key kind of figure. Do you think that we're going to get any cameos in these last couple episodes? I'm wondering if Mas Amedda is going to end up showing up. I've been saying it all season, but I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like people are going to catch on to Mon Mothma with what's going on with Davo and not being able to transfer funds and different things. Luthen might get upset even. If Luthen even survives. He probably will. He probably will. Reeferman says Palpatine will be making a speech. Woo, dude, I'm all for it. I haven't really thought he would throughout most of the season, but right now I'm all for it. Do it. Do it. Maybe we get Ezra's speech. Ooh, that would be really cool. That did happen at the end of season 1 of Rebels. I feel like that might happen a year from now. I'm not exactly sure. I think this starts in 5 ABY or BBY, my bad. And then I think Ezra's speech happens in 4 BBY, but I might be wrong. I might have that mixed up. I do think that there's going to be a big Senate scene, says Steve Storenka. Me too. I'm hoping that there is some more Senate scenes because they've been kind of brief so far. Stanley says Krennic moaning about the delay in production consequences of Prison Break. Interesting. So let's talk about season 2 of Andor a little bit because I really like what you said there, Stanley's. What if we do see a character like Krennic or Moff Tarkin or, you know, one of those, maybe even Grand Admiral Thrawn? That'd be really cool. One of those guys at the end of the season. I think what was going down at that prison might be the center of focus of what's going on in season 2. And I think Tony Gilroy himself has kind of teased that out already. I think whatever they were building on Narkina 5 and those other prisons that we see people being taken to in the the episode where Andor gets arrested, I think that what happened with the prisoners escaping, it delayed whatever production was going on. I do think that could be for the Death Star, which of course all roads lead to Rogue One and the Death Star blowing up Andor. So just how poetic would it be if Andor is building the very machine that's gonna blow him up? Just that'd be so messed up. Are those Death Star parts, says Jedi Mike? I don't know yet, and I know that there's spoilers out there for at least episode 11, maybe even episode 12. I'm not gonna get into them here, so we're staying spoiler free. I'm not checking out the spoilers at all. I really have the urge to click on them, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna. No. I shouldn't. It's not the Jedi way. Wes Crack and Feed Rocket, good to see you in the chat. I hope you're doing well, my friend. So let me know what you guys think though about that. Do you think that the Death Star parts are being what's built? I mean, other things that could potentially be your Star Destroyers. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of those throughout the Empire. A lot of people were saying that it looked like TIE Defender parts, or not TIE Defender, but TIE TIE fighter parts. Maybe it is TIE defender parts though, and that could be Thrawn's kind of way of people getting people to build these TIE defender things without spending too much credits on it. Also, we do see factory workers on Lothal and Star Wars Rebels kind of working. They're likely kind of prisoners in a way as well to the Empire. So maybe, although I do think the TIE defender program is going to go more into effect later down the line, and I think that could be something in season 2. Maybe this is the beginnings of it though. God of War tonight, says Kylie. I don't want to make any promises. I will let you guys know in the Discord. If you want to check us out on Discord, we do have a Discord in the link in the description below. So go check that out. You can hang out with a bunch of Star Wars fans just like yourself, talk about the latest in Star Wars, Marvel, all kind of things pop culture in the Discord. And you can get notified every time that we go live, publish a new video, all things Vader Slayer down in the Vader Slayer Discord. So go check it out. Definitely Death Star parts, says Darth Maximus. I think so tonight. I think so too. They were basically building cogs for the war machine that is the Empire. Indeed, and it was a way for them to do it for free. Crazy. Shank says used basically as a meat puppet experiment. Yeah. Hi Jedi Mike the Stand Show Porter. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Good to see you in the chat. Flying Fish says, I would like it confirmed at some point by a later Easter egg what its parts for. Me too. And I do, like I said, I do think it's possible whatever was going down with those parts, Andor knows about that prison and he's going to go run and tell somebody. I wouldn't even doubt if he goes and tells Mon Mothma, or he tells Luthen Rael about it, and the two of them go and tell Mon Mothma in the finale. And that kind of leads to Mon Mothma's escape from the Imperial lifestyle that she's surrounded by, on Coruscant. I definitely agree, though. I think that we're going to see that, and I think the parts and what's going on with them are going to be the central focus of Season 2. I truly do believe that. What do you guys think is going to happen in Season 2, though? I wouldn't even doubt if the end of this, Season 1, I just had an idea. So earlier I was talking about how Andor could potentially go back to the planet that he was arrested at. The planet where he left his money after the Aldhani heist. What if he goes back to that planet in these last 2 episodes, maybe even in tonight's episode, and he runs back into that droid that we all know and love as K2SO? I'm just saying. What if K2SO becomes his new partner in crime in tonight's episode, or even in the finale next week? That would be freaking awesome to me. Come on, man. I want to see K2SO throughout Season 2. I want it. Don't think I have time to stay up. Don't think I have it in me to stay up to 3, but I'm hyped AF. It's all good, Feed Rocket. I hope you get some rest, man. Take care of your mentals. Take care of your sleep. I get it, my man. I'm too excited though, and I gotta do it. Steve Starenka says, I feel like Thrawn Callus appearance are gonna be saved for Mando Season 3 and Ahsoka instead of Andor. Krennic, Tarkin, and Galen Erso are more likely. I love your thought process there, man. You're probably right. Krennic would probably make the most sense, and he would definitely be the kind of dude to be like, just arrest some people and make them build parts. You know what I mean? K2SO is probably in last episode or Season 2, says the Stanleys. Yeah, bro, I'm hoping. Mike the Stan Show Porter says, it looked like the landing gear parts configured to look like an engine. I used to work at a jet base in an engine support part shop, and landing gear and engine shops were nearby, and it looked like it. Interesting. I didn't, like I said, it could be for TIE fighters, TIE defenders, maybe Star Destroyers, you know what I mean? I'm saying. Thanks for the input there, though, Mike. That is some really cool info from a man with the expertise like yourself. Those two components combined. Yes, I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down, and I like where your brain's at. I like where you're thinking. Thrawn announcement at Star Wars London celebration in 2023. In my honest opinion, says Jedi Mike. You're probably right. Maybe it happens earlier in Mando season 3, but you're probably right. Don says, I'd be napping after this. Alarm set for 11:30. Let's go! Mike with the insider info. You said it, Steve. My man's got it. The parts look shot peened. I definitely know what you're saying, by the way, too. I built some clutches for cars, a little bit different, obviously. But yeah, man, you would know. I feel like you would know in this instance. Mike Porter. They also look kind of like trail rollers for rotary aircraft. Shh. Yes, my bad. Definitely excited for that. So let's get into our last bit here. This comes from comicbook.com, but it is talking about Rian Johnson. So obviously Glass Onion is coming out, and it has been 5 years since The Last Jedi came out. It's also almost a decade, I believe, since the sequel trilogy started. About 9 years this year. Going into a decade next year. So let's get into this article talking about Rian Johnson at a Glass Onion interview, and someone asked him a little bit about Star Wars. Oh no. Whoops. Hold on. Oh my. I messed up. 1 second. Let me just read this to you guys real quick. I'll just get into it. So it's been almost 5 years since Rian Johnson's Star Wars The Last Jedi. And while at that time it was confirmed the filmmaker would create a new trilogy to introduce new characters from a corner of the galaxy that Star Wars lore has never before explored, but since, Johnson has gone on to do other projects such as Knives Out and the upcoming Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. A third Knives Out film is also in the works, but Johnson hasn't given up hope that he'll return to Star Wars someday. Speaking with Variety at the premiere of Glass Onion, Johnson called making Star Wars The Last Jedi a high point of his life, saying, making Star Wars was the high point of my life, and so I pray to God that I'll be back there someday. You know what? I'm starting to hope that he is. As for that trilogy, Johnson said last month that he'd spoken to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, and there are still talks about things, but that his focus at the moment is the Knives Out series. He said, I talked to Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy about it, and we're still talking about it so far. Johnson had said that the announcement of Star Wars spin-offs, saying, I had such an amazing experience making Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's entirely a matter of scheduling for me. Putting this Glass Onion out and making the next one of these Knives Out movies is the answer. And so far the answer is like, I don't know. That's basically what he said. So what is Knives Onion or Glass Onion about? It says the tech billionaire Miles Braun invited his friends for a murder mystery party getaway. His private Greek island, at his private Greek island. However, when someone turns up dead for real, Blanc from the first movie has to show up and take care of it. That's all we're going to get into with Glass Onion, but I will say I kind of do like the Knives Out movie and Rian Johnson's other works. I think he's a pretty good director. I don't agree with all the choices that he made in The Last Jedi still, and I think a lot of fans are still kind of hurt about that movie and things. And I do think that movie did divide a big portion of the fandom. However, I think 5 years after The Last Jedi, with a little bit more time and a little bit more of a new outlook on the sequels that have almost been out for a decade now, I'm almost ready to give Rian Johnson a chance. I don't know about a whole trilogy. I stand with Star Wars Meg in the thought process that Bryce Dallas Howard is most likely the best option to do a trilogy at this point, if anyone's going to do it. But I do think Rian Johnson having another shot at a Star Wars project could be cool, whether it is a television show, a movie. I'd like to see what he does with it if he gets another shot. Flying Fish says, I saw Knives Out last weekend, a top movie. Dude, it is pretty good. It is pretty freaking good. Steve Saranka says, I feel like we're all on the same page and I love it. Except she. Alright, let me see what you guys are saying. Rian Johnson is just trying to subvert our expectations once again by saying that there's another trilogy coming with him in the creative lead, when in fact no such trilogy will ever exist. You're funny for that one, Reefer Man. Feed Rocket says, oh yeah, true. I forgot about Andor's droid. I can see them merging programming. Yeah, dude, I could definitely see Melshi and Andor doing that with K2SO. Maybe even just Andor, but going back and everything. Rian Johnson, stay away. I prefer BDH. Oh, you guys are hating on him. Jedi Mike says, I love TLJ. Steve says, I'm not a fan of TLJ, or I'm not a TLJ hater, but I think there's better to move on from him. Okay, I get what you're saying. So a lot of people are ready to move on from Ryan, and I think in a way they have done that. But like I said, in another couple of years, maybe 7 years after, you know what I mean? It's maybe the idea sparks where, hey, maybe now that you've done all this Knives Out stuff, let's see what you do in a different time period. Maybe even in the High Republic, with Kathleen Kennedy teasing the future of that in live action as well. Bro, give it 20 years. Aww. Well, maybe it's not time for Rian Johnson to come back just yet. But I love that the dude's excited about the prospect of coming back. And it's cool that he had a good time making Star Wars. After Knives Out 9. Aw, you guys are so harsh. Reeferman Review says, I will watch a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie the same way I've watched Wakanda Forever on a free pirated website. Hey man, I freaking loved Wakanda Forever. That movie moved me. It was crazy. It was crazy. Really tragic. Go see it. Go see Wakanda Forever. I think that's a movie that's going to be a good movie going experience when it's all said and done. The fact, like, I'll just say this, and I'm not going to spoil anything, obviously, but there's 2 scenes in particular, maybe even 3, in Wakanda Forever, where the entire crowd, when I was in the movie theaters, was like pin drop silent. And being in the theater for that, one of them being kind of a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, it definitely brought some tears to my eyes, for sure. I don't pay for subscription service. Flying Fish says, what do you think we can why do you think we can almost expect they may portray Thrawn poorly as someone who wasn't the version of the books? They limited the character in Rebels. I want more. I get what you're saying about limiting Thrawn in a way in Rebels, and I'm a big Rebels stan, so it takes some gusto for me to say that. I love the portrayal of Thrawn in Rebels, and I think he's limited for a specific reason, because there's more to Thrawn that we don't really see in Rebels. The day-to-day of him and what's really going on behind the scenes, as Thrawn is really, yeah, he's helping the Empire, he's dedicated to Palpatine, and really what he's all about is protecting his homeworld of the Chiss ascendancy. That's really what Thrawn does, and that's why we see kind of the way he's played out in Rebels and why he's a little bit restricted, I think, especially because those books were still kind of being told, or at least the backstory of that. And I don't know, man, I don't think it's going to be poorly done if he's brought into live action at all. I cannot wait for the day that they bring Thrawn into live action. It's going to be amazing, in my opinion. I'm excited for it, Flying Fish. Reeferman Review says, like I said, I already seen a lot of it on the website. I already know most of the movie anyway, so nothing can be spoiled at this point for me. I want more, but I know I shouldn't. Flying Fish says, Thrawn has a greater story than we got any of Rebels. Well, in terms of his story, I disagree with that statement. In terms of Rebels as a whole, I feel like the Rebels story is incredible. Thrawn's story in general, it's really, really cool, but we didn't get that much of it in Rebels, to your point. There's a whole lot more of it in the books, and that's fleshed out in different lores and different mediums, to your point. And I'm going to try to bring that to life on the channel. I'm still working on that, but I did get a main portion of it done, or at least recorded the other day. So I'm going to try to bring to life some of the story of Thrawn and how he got to the position he was in the Empire by the time we see him in Rebels. So I'll do my best to bring that to life in a video coming up. Jedi Mike says, Sheev the Wise, Deidre is an ISB badass. Reminds me of what Thrawn's acting, etc. will be like. Do it. I agree, man. I definitely have talked about that in past streams, and I can't wait to see Thrawn for that exact reason. The intrigue of Deidre has been kind of the genius of her in the ISB, surrounded by a bunch of dudes that don't really think the same way she does. Thrawn is like an extremist of that, with him being an alien. It's the same kind of thing where it'll work. It's gonna be great, man. How about a spin-off of the Chiss Ascendancy? I'm down for that, but I think it would be really, like, it would be different, you know what I mean? It would be like Andor in the way that it would be really, really different for Star Wars fans that don't know who the Chiss Ascendancy are. A lot of people might be a little lost, at least at first. They could do a great job with that, but it would be hard. It would be a tall task indeed. Steve Starenka says, I still remember being in the theater the night of TLG release, and my initial reaction was I liked it, but the final scene when Luke transcends into the Force, I was like, what the F, did they kill him? I remember loving The Last Jedi when I walked out, and then slowly I began to very much dislike it, and now I'm in a weird space where I don't know how I fully feel about the sequels. I have to watch them again. I'm not like afraid to. I haven't done it, and I should give them another watch, I guess. No, I'm for real though. I should give them another watch. Flying Fish says Thrawn entering live action will be all I've been expecting for the Disney Star Wars. I didn't know him when he was Legends, but I love him now. Me too, Flying Fish. Steve Starenka says Star Wars Predator crossover. I mean, the guy that was in Prey was cast for the Ahsoka show, I think, right? So maybe you got a point there. Deidre is almost on Thrawn's level. Almost. I don't think she's quite on that level by any means. I think she's like half of what Thrawn is, to be honest. Thrawn's a feed rocket. I'm afraid to. Yeah, you're like Yoda in that scene with Luke, and he's like, you should be. You should be. Shamook better be ready to put in some overtime on Thrawn if Lars Mikkelsen is cast. Maybe, man. I'm sure they'll do a little bit of CGI, a little bit of makeup and different things, to your point. Make it look a little bit more pristine and realistic. They can do some real good stuff with just makeup and prosthetics though too. I don't know. We'll see how they end up doing that. The unknown regions have so much potential on screen. Endless. They really do. They're unknown for a reason, right? And I love that about them. I love that about the Chiss Ascendancy and so much of Thrawn's story in general. To your point, yeah, they do have endless potential with the unknown regions, and that's why they're unknown. My money is on either Deidre throwing Cyril under the bus or the ISB throwing Deidre under the bus. Somebody getting thrown under the bus. Beep, beep. Probably. I wouldn't doubt if something happens to the two of them. I think they're going to end up working together, though, and throughout season 2, they're still going to be chasing Andor, most likely. Vader. Probably not. I mean, he was at the end of Rogue One. Maybe he comes down to Narkina 5. Kino's there, and Vader's just like, who is responsible? And Kino's just like, it was him. And Vader just, I'm just playing, but maybe. Shank says Avatar should have Predator in the same universe, but I don't want Star Wars crossing over with the other franchises. Yo, I kind of like where your thoughts at with that. That would be pretty wild. I'm super excited for tonight's episode, though. I think we're going to get on out of here in a minute or two. So any last questions that you guys have, go ahead and put them into the chat. Go check us out on Twitter at Vader's Lair, on Instagram at Sheev the Wise. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. A big welcome to you if you are again. And smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. More super dank, says Speed Rocket. My opinion in these movies are like half decent, but could have got something more special. Hopefully they make the next trilogy more super dank. Same. I'm excited for it though. Whenever they end up doing another trilogy, I'm on board. I'm on board. Alright, y'all. Thank you guys for hanging out with us in the chat. Much love to all of you. If you would, once again, before we leave, smash that like button, please. It really helps us out. Subscribe to the channel. And come hang out with us later, because we're going to be doing a watch party for tonight's Andor episode 11 right here at Vader's Lair. So again, subscribe, meet back with us 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for our watch party. And yeah, if we do a God of War stream, I'll let you guys know in the Discord. Go check out our Discord. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your night. Before we go, Flying Fish says Andor isn't pulpy, mystical, black and white. Hopefully, hopeful story we associate with Star Wars normally, and we shouldn't let that be our normal still. I love Andor, and I get where some are saying it isn't Star Wars. So before we go, I think it's gonna start to seem more like Star Wars though. And if you're still saying it's still not, it doesn't feel like Star Wars to this point, I don't know, man. That might be a little bit of reach. I think it's transitioned and crossed more and more into that Star Wars feel as we've gone on. And while, yes, it has that political kind of spy thriller more than anything, I'm excited to see as it transitions more and more and more into the Star Wars space. And I do think that new stuff and different genres do belong in Star Wars. So stuff like this and stuff like Andor has been absolutely perfect to me, and I'm excited to see where the rest of Star Wars goes in the future. Thank you guys for hanging out with us though tonight. I will see you all in our watch party later. I hope you have a fantastic one if you don't, and enjoy the episode tomorrow if you watch it. Much love to you guys, and have a good one. May the Force be with you always. Peace.